Welcome back, guys, to Foeonthefights. Today I'm just going to go over the UFC news. What's the biggest stories going on in the UFC today, the UFC world today, okay? So basically, Conor McGregor has been out for a while since his fight with Dustin Poirier, with the broken shin bone, the titanium shin bone. Now, I've been a fan of Conor since when he first got to the scene, because of my Irish heritage. I'm proud of it. And I liked him. I thought he was a badass, and he just so happened to become the biggest star in the sport. But he was my favorite fighter before all that. Do I want a pat on the back? No. I'm going to give myself one. But so much drama going on right now with Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, and Conor McGregor talking shit back and forth. Masvidal wants to fight with Conor. I don't see why Conor wouldn't want that fight. Besides, he can't fight yet. He's still recovering. In his Pup Talk video, he claims he's going to go after Usman for the 170-pound title and become the triple division champion. I don't see that happening. I mean, even if he caught Usman with a clean left hand, I think Usman would just eat that like a breakfast burrito and blast double him and wrestle fuck him for 5 rounds, or probably finish him in the first, because he's a monster. The dude is massive. He cuts so much weight. He's like the biggest example of a 170-pounder. And Conor used to be a featherweight. Yeah, he's big now, but my thoughts are, with Conor getting so big and muscular, I look at that and I look at Luke Rockhold when he went up to light heavyweight and fought Jan. That didn't translate well. Big muscles to fighting. It didn't translate for Luke. And I don't see how it will for Conor unless he like drastically starts wrestling and jiu-jitsu and learns that, because that's his weak spot. Anybody takes him down besides Chad Mendez, and Conor's going to be in trouble most of the time. But yeah, Nate Diaz can't get a fight. He's trying to get the UFC to drop him, let him go, be a free agent. For whatever reason, the UFC is holding on to him. I think that was a fucking punch in the face when they offered him Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, sure, everybody thought Diaz would have took it because he doesn't say no. But realistically, that's just not a good fight for Nate, especially on his last fight. I mean, got you, bitch. I mean, Khamzat is a monster. And he's another example of Kamaru Usman being a big 170-pounder. He's a massive 170-pounder. You know, he's a decent-sized middleweight, Khamzat. So, and Diaz is a blown-up welterweight. He's really a 55er. So it's like, it's just not fair. It doesn't make sense to have Diaz fight Khamzat. But what I do think should happen is, I think since Conor's out right now, I think Masvidal should fight Diaz. Masvidal Diaz 2. They had that one fight. It was great. It was a really good fight. Masvidal was fucking Diaz up, but you know Diaz has heart. And if he didn't have all those cuts, if I know, but I'm just saying, if that fight didn't get stopped by cuts, anything could have happened. I think he probably would have lost still, but it would have been, you know, Nate wasn't going to quit. He's not a quitter. He's never a quitter. So, Jorge won that and got the BMF belt. I think they should fight again. Masvidal, Diaz 2, and the winner of that fights Conor next year when Conor's ready to come back. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's the best case scenario for Conor if he wants to fight at 170 coming back. He's going to want a striker, preferably one he's already fought and beat in Nate, which wasn't easy. That second fight was not easy at all. That was a close fucking fight. But I think he has a better chance of beating Nate than Masvidal, because Masvidal is just a lot bigger. He's quick on the feet. His kicks are better than Conor's from what I've seen. Conor doesn't really do much kicking these days. In his last fights with Poirier, he looked like a boxer out there. It looked like he forgot how to kick. Yeah, he came out with a spinning back kick and everybody was like, woo, but then he was just like boxing stance the whole fight till he got his fucking shin snapped. So yeah, that's what's going on. In other news though, in the UFC, I heard Chito Vera versus Dominic Cruz got verbally agreed, and I also heard it got confirmed by sources, blah blah blah. But I think that's going to be a good fight. I think Chito wins that 100%. I think Dom, he's a good fighter. I've never really been a fan of his style, but he is good. I just don't think he's on the level of Chito. So that's going to be good for Chito Vera. I really like him. I think he's going to be champ one day. I'm rooting for him to be champ one day. I think he beats Aljamain Sterling pretty easily. Actually, I don't, because Aljamain's a great wrestler. But Chito's good with jiu-jitsu, and I think his stand-up's better than Aljamain's. But I think that's a great fight. I'd love to see that. But anyways, I guess we're going to see Chito Vera versus Dominic Cruz. And I think Chito wipes the floor with Dominic. I think Dominic's on his lower end of his career. He could shock the world and beat the fuck out of him and get another title shot and win. That could happen, but I really don't think that's the path that's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to that one. In other news, Whitaker versus Vettori is rescheduled for UFC Paris. That's cool. I'm a huge fan of Robert Whitaker. He's like one of my favorite. He's in my top 5 favorite fighters, only because he's a Skyrim nerd. And I love Skyrim, even though I don't play it anymore because I sold my Xbox for weed way back when I was still a weed addict. I'm like 9 days off of it, and I'm planning on staying clean. So bear with me, guys. I got it tatted on my chest, but maybe I'll get that covered up one day when the channel grows and I start making money off this. One can dream, right? Anyway, and then other news, we got Paulo Costa drama. Supposedly a nurse claimed he elbowed her in the lip. He was trying to get a vaccine card without getting vaccinated, and supposedly she grabbed his arm and he elbowed her. I'm sure he probably just pulled his arm away, and maybe the recoil, she hit herself in the face. I don't know, but the pictures don't look like anything happened. It's like maybe, I don't know. You know, if the main theme, the main storyline everyone's going with is if Paulo Costa elbowed a woman in the face, there'd be a lot more damage than that. So I don't know who to believe. Paulo's come out and said this is false. He's claimed against the allegations against him. I mean, Paulo Costa is just a dramatic guy right now in the sport. I mean, guy can't make weight. He's talking all this shit, say he wants to be released, asking Dana White to let him go. And poor old Luke Rockhold is just trying to get a fight. I mean, he's been out since, I think since the Jan loss was his last fight, I believe. And he's supposedly back in shape, coming back. And I think he's lined up to fight Paulo Costa, but with all this shit going on, who knows? So, good luck, Luke. I hope you get that fight. And, yeah, what else? Oh, yeah, just a side note. Luke Rockhold has the personality of Tito Ortiz. I mean, Tito Ortiz is Luke Rockhold's spirit animal. I mean, they're just so similar in their awkwardness and the shit they say in their interviews. It's fucking hilarious. Shout out. I'm going to end this here, guys. That's the Foeonthefights. That's the news. That's the UFC news going on. Comment your thoughts in below. Your thoughts on the sport and what's going on. Do you think Chito Vera loses or wins against Dominic Cruz? Do you think Conor McGregor should fight Nate or Masvidal? Or do you agree with me that Masvidal and Nate should have that rematch and then the winner fight Conor when he comes back? Let me know your thoughts. And I just want to give a big shout out to the other UFC news channels out there that I'm a huge fan of and actually inspired me to start this channel. Believe You Me, number one. It's my favorite one with Michael Bisping, Anthony Smith, Fuck Harrington, and Brian. It's a great team. Weighing in is very good. I don't watch it as often as I used to, but they're still doing their thing, and they're good. They're fun to watch. They really have an in-depth look of the sport with Josh being a former fighter. Not that Bisping doesn't, but it's just they're more like, and they're definitely Bellator homers. It's obvious, it comes across in their videos. You know, they say they mute the commentators for the UFC, but they're commentators for Bellator, so why else would they do that unless they're just hating? And they love to say they're not homers, but they are, which is fine. It makes sense. They work for Bellator, but just own it, guys, own it. Who else is out there? There's so many MMA shows I watch. MMA On Point. Let's see. I don't even know the names of those ones that just like post news and stuff. Full Mount MMA, The Best of MMA, MMA Zone, MMA Junkie. Shout out all these great shows. Oh yeah, the Ariel Helwani show is great. I used to fucking hate Ariel back in the day. I thought he was a dork, a cuck, a simp. But now he's an okay guy. And I liked him even more after the Brendan Schaub beef, because Brendan Schaub is just the biggest cornball in comedy. And Ariel put him in his place. And I'm not super big on Luke Thomas, but he's another one. Morning Combat, Dan Hardy. I'm not too big on him anymore, but I still subscribe to Full Reptile. I'll check him out sometimes. Yeah, there's so many of them. The sport is full of action, guys. Stay tuned, because towards the end of the week I'll be giving my predictions video on the upcoming Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prochazka fight. That's going to be a banger. It's going to be a fucking banger. I think that's coming up next weekend. Yeah, June 11th. So stay tuned, guys. I'll probably be dropping my predictions where I go through the whole fight card and give you my picks. My best picks were 11-2. Last week I went 9-4, I believe. So, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thank you, and have a blessed day.